Winter is quickly approaching, but you wouldn't believe it by looking around my greenhouse. I still have so many chilies on my plants, and a lot of them are still ripening up. This over here is my Peppadew plant, also known as the Malawian Picant. We can see that there's some chilies that are very nearly ripe, probably a few more days before that is perfect. We still have some green ones as well, and I have every confidence that these will ripen up as well. I know it's a big concern for a lot of you that are growing chilies. We're at this stage of the year where the cold weather's coming in. There's threats of frost. Actually, some of you already have had frost. I have already had a hard frost. And you're worried about these chilies that are green, especially with your Superhots, and whether you can get them to ripen. I will share some tips a little bit later in this video, so stick around for that, about how to get your chilies to ripen so that you get some beautiful harvests from them. The Peppadew is such a wonderful chili. It's sweet, it has a good amount of spice to it, it's quite thick-skinned, and it tastes delicious when it's pickled in a sweet pickling brine. I will be sharing my recipe for that in the future as soon as I've picked enough of these, and honestly, you're gonna love it. A little bit of history. The guy that discovered these, he was in South Africa and he was visiting a friend's house. He saw this chili bush growing outside his place and he picked a couple pods, started growing them on, and ended up trademarking the name Peppadew. We can see that we have some that are very, very green, so they haven't even started to turn. But even these, I'm pretty sure, are going to ripen up perfectly. And I find that the end of season pods actually taste sweeter and have a bit more spice than the earlier season pods that you can get from these plants. And I find that for quite a few of my chili plants actually. But you can see the size of that, that is just stunning. Let's take a look in Big Chump, the large greenhouse, and have a look at how the plants are doing. Over here we have our Naga Morix. These are just stunning pods. I absolutely love these things. And they are really, really hot. Not as hot as a ghost pepper, but similar sort of flavor profile. And I really enjoy these chilies. I actually have a sauce on the go at the moment. You would have seen a sneak peek of that in a recent sauce video I did. I think it was last week or the week before. Let's go have a look. And once I pick all these and add them to that sauce, I will be doing a dedicated video to that to show you a new hot sauce recipe. But these are just stunning, and yeah, this has been a very good producer of this plant. I wanted to spend a minute talking about Patreon and YouTube memberships. Many of you may not be aware that I have these platforms available because I don't really like pushing it in my videos. Supporting me on those platforms really helps me keep putting out the content that I do. Firstly, to the people that are supporting me already, thank you so, so much. There's some of you that have been there from the very start, from when I launched Patreon, and you still are patrons, and that is just amazing to me. Thank you. Those of you that do want to sign up, it's more than just supporting the channel and keeping me making content and doing it as frequently. It also allows you access to my private Discord server, which is where I spend most of my free time chatting with my patrons and YouTube members. And it gives you some behind the scenes access. It also gives you some insight into what's happening in the next couple of months, what videos are coming out, what sources are coming out, what seeds, that sort of thing, and some other stuff just happening behind the scenes in my personal life. Anyway, please consider it. Have a look down below. You'll be able to see the links to Patreon, and the join thing for YouTube memberships should be just below the video. We can see there that is still pushing out flowers, and we're still getting lots of new fruit getting produced. This is, let me just scan this tag. This is one of my Dorset Nagas, one of my baby Dorset Nagas compared to the beast that's down there, and we'll get to that in just a bit. But this is also Dorset Naga and putting out lots of flowers, we can see there, and still producing pods. And hopefully that's going to be producing a lot more pods because it'll soon be time for picking. Let's keep going down here. I think this is my 7-pot habanero, if I remember correctly. And oh, look at that. That's a beauty. Let me see which plant that is. So one of the changes I will be making next year is not cramming in so many plants. As you can see here, for me to try and figure out which plant this is from, it takes a bit of looking because I have to get inside. Yeah, I actually think it's this front pot. So I'll quickly scan it. And by the way, I'm scanning it with my app Seedsio that I built. Free access to everybody if you want to use it. And this is a big black mama. But yeah, these are still putting out pods, and these are scary, scary hot. Let's keep going down the line. This is my peri peri crossed with a lemon drop, my lemon peri. and still isolating a lot of pods. There's quite a few in there that are busy setting fruit, so we will do something with that. Got a couple problems with some of my plants, and I think it's to do with my drippers. You see this plant here, it's falling over. Again, one of the problems of cramming in so many plants. I'm going to have to come and do this after this video. But that dripper is needing some cleaning, and it'd be a lot easier to do if I didn't have so many plants just rammed in here. So next year I'll definitely be reducing the number of plants, and what you'll find is I'll probably end up getting a bigger harvest than I'm getting this year. Here's another one that's getting some problems. Actually, it's the same plant. Massive plant. Let's go down the line and see what we've got. We've got some Primotali's over here, and those are still growing. We've still got quite a few. That is next to one of my 7-pot bubblegums. These are 7-pot bubblegum yellows. And you can see that bleeding calyx, which is just classic and stunning. We have a ripe one over here. You can see that yellow calyx. That's that part just below the chili, bleeding up into the stem. And that's just beautiful. Small pods. I was hoping they would be bigger, but yeah, we'll keep on trying to breed them out and see if we can get some bigger ones, but they all seem to be that sort of size. And let's have a look down here. Are there any that are bigger? Not really. They're all a similar sort of size. But the Primotali's are doing really nicely. We have a few of the Primotali plants, and those are classic chilies. Not very, very hot, but they are they're still decently spiced. We've got some more Superhots down here. 7-pot Primo. What do we got here? There's a big black mama over here. Again, these gnarly, gnarly looking pods, and they are scary, scary hot. And this one here, I think this might be the Primo. We will check quickly. Yeah, this is a 7-pot Primo. And yeah, we've got some little points there. This isn't a great phenotype of this plant. I have got a better one that is on the other side of the greenhouse. But these will still burn. They just don't have the tail like I would hope. 7-pot Primo can have a really cool tail. That's a bit of a better example. You can see that there. Back here we have a beauty. These are golden Primotali's. Now, if you saw my last live stream, you would have seen me eating a Primotali, not these golden ones, but one of the red ones. And just have a look at that. Still ripening up a little bit. You can still see a bit of green in there, but these are just huge, huge pods. They're beauties. This is the chili that nearly defeated me. This is a red Primotali, and it has to be the hottest chili I have ever had in my entire life. My tongue was numb for nearly 2 days after I had it on a recent live stream, my actual last live stream. I'll leave a link to that down below. This chili is just insanity. It's ridiculous, and they are such beauties as well. I will be making a hot sauce with them, and if you dare try it, I will be putting that in my store. I will also have some seeds available in my seed store very soon, hopefully in the next 2 weeks. But yeah, these are legendary. I wonder if the golden Primotali are going to be as bad. In the middle of the greenhouse, we can see quite a few of my milder chilies, and they're still growing, still putting out pods, still ripening up. These are mostly ripe, and just confirm what these actually are. Just one sec. Aji Mango, and there's still some green pods on there as well, ripening up, and loads of ripe ones as well, still nice and firm and ready to be picked. Beautiful, beautiful things. These are some of my sweeter chilies. These are Ramiro yellows, and I think we have some Ramiro reds over there, and yeah, most of my sweet ones that I normally snack on when I come in here. These beauties are my big Jim Numex. I do have some seeds available in the store right now for them. They are just such huge pods, and yeah, they're ripening up. But yeah, they are quite an impressive chili, And I enjoy growing them. They actually taste pretty good too. They've got a good sweetness to them, a little bit of spice, tiny bit, nothing too hectic. Over there, you can see it's pretty much end of season for my peri-peris. There are still some. I've picked the majority of them. I think we've had about 4 harvests now in total, decent harvests. And we've got probably one more. You can see there's a few that are ripened up that we had left on the plant. But pretty much end of season for those. But they've done well, many, many kilograms of chilies. Let's have a look at the monster chili plant. This is my monster plant, which I've called Koos. And the attempt here is to see how many ripe chili pods we can pick on November 5th. I ran a couple competitions on my live streams where I did a giveaway, and that giveaway was for 2 people to come and join me picking these chilies. We're going to have a bit of a fun day doing that, as well as eating some spicy food and just spending time checking out what I'm getting up to over here. But like I said, the goal is to pick as many of these ripe red Dorset Nagas, and yeah, we have a lot of green ones that need to go red within the next couple of weeks. So we are hoping and praying that that will happen. I am pretty confident, but time will tell. This plant is Frikkie. This is my other Dorset Naga that I started at the beginning of the year when I started all my monster chili plants. It stands at about 6'6", so just above my head, and compared to Koos, it's a lot smaller. Koos is in a 160 litre pot, and I'll link above to the video where I started this project. And that's a 160 litre pot, and this one down here is a 90 litre pot. So definitely got much better progress from this specific variety in the bigger pot. That's not to say that all varieties will do as well, but yeah, definitely for the Dorset Naga, a bigger pot is definitely preferential. The one thing you'll notice though is that the smaller plot will allow the pods to ripen a lot quicker. You can see the majority of the pods on this plant are ripe. There's not as many pods, and there are some green of course, but they definitely have a lot more in terms of percentage ripe versus non-ripe, whereas with the larger pot, plenty more unripe than ripe. So that's something just to keep in mind. With a shorter season, you might not be able to get as much of a harvest from these bigger pots than you would from the smaller pots. But again, there's a bit of an experiment to be had there, and I'll try this again next year with a few other parameters changed. This here is the reason that my wife doesn't come into the greenhouse anymore. These spiders are just massive, and I have loads of them. Now, I don't mind spiders at all. I hope that's focusing. I don't mind spiders very much, but Mrs. ChilliChump is not a fan. Behind the spider, though, is what I actually wanted to show you. And you've only got a couple weeks left if you are entering the competition for the big and tall. So the heaviest chili or the longest chili. This is one of my contenders, and that is a beast. That is a Poblano, and yeah, we're going to see what sort of weight we can get from that. I'm going to wait a little bit longer. I think it's got a little bit more to grow, but that there I think is going to be a contender. If you have a contender, you can go and enter the competition, and there's some great prizes for those as well. So still got a couple of weeks. Make sure you get your entries in. Let's talk about ripening up chili pods that are still green at this time of year. Many of you will be worried because you've been growing a Superhot chili plant and you've been nurturing it all year, and at this stage where you know you've only got a few weeks left before the end of the season comes, you're still looking at so many of these green chili pods. Now the good news is they will ripen up. You just need to do a couple things to help you out with this. Number one is stop feeding your plants. When your pods are at this sort of size where they're almost full grown, they don't need any nutrients or any extra nutrients to continue to ripen. If, however, you still have flowers that you're hoping are going to pollinate and turn into fruit, then yeah, you might need a light dose of feeding, but keep it very, very light. Number two, and almost as important, is reduce the amount of water that you're using with your plant. The reason for that is your plant is just not actively growing at the moment, and it doesn't need that water. So reduce the amount of water, and that'll also help the plant not get unhealthy and start dropping pods. That's what I see quite often. When people continue watering their plants too much, these pods can actually fall off and you'll be very, very unhappy. Number three, you can ripen your chilies if you cut the stem off way below where these pods are. the pods will still think that they're on a living plant and they'll continue to ripen. Chili pods can continue ripening even when the plant is dying. And what you can do, if you see that the plant is not looking very healthy away from these pods, for example, cut the stem way down over here. Don't go and pick the pod off, because when they're still green like this, they're unlikely to ripen. They're not like things like bananas or apples. They don't respond to ethylene. However, if it has started to ripen up, if you see a bit of red blushing up here and you pick this off, it will probably carry on ripening, but it's not going to ever be as hot or as sweet as it would have been if you left it on the branch itself. This over here is a branch that snapped off when I was picking my peri-peri chilies, and we can see it snapped off over there. The unfortunate thing is I had 3 of my chilies on here that were still green. They hadn't yet ripened, but these were ones that are isolating. And as you can see, they are now perfectly red. It took a little while, but keeping them on the branch, they'll get themselves to ripen up. Now you can see there are some on here still that are trying to ripen. These were still very, very early stage. These ones actually were properly green, but you can see that they are perfectly fine, and we'll be able to get seeds out of those, and that'll be viable. So don't stress too much. If you are looking at a lot of green chilies like I am over here, I know that within the next few weeks, these will be beautiful and ripe. So that's it in the greenhouse. I think that I've still got a lot of picking to do. We've got a lot of sauces on the go at the moment already, and a lot more to come, especially from the Superhots. And yeah, it's been a hell of a season, and I can't wait already to start planning for the next season. I hope that your season has gone fantastically with loads of ripe chilies to make some awesome hot sauces. And if you do still have some green Superhot chilies, don't worry, follow my tips from earlier, and I'm sure that you'll have even more chilies to make some more hot sauce. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Until then, stay spicy.